Good
not
exercise.
elevator.
Good exercise.
Yeah, and I saw you. Yeah.
Okay, so we are live and recording. Start the meeting whenever you want.
Okay, let's come to order at 6:08. Okay.
Both Helen and Michael are excused.
Okay. All right, there's no guests. We want to welcome Lynn Woods as a new member. Yay.
Thank you. A little intimidated when I read off the end of the year report that Helen emailed me. Like, oh my God, these guys are going to do so much.
Well, one thing
Look at
is, if you go to a conference, you can write it, you can put it in the report, so remember to do that. Among other
Did
things.
you get like dues paid if it's a fee?
No, not currently. No. But even a weapon one.
Well, you've been sharing.
Yes. So is there, did you want to say anything? Have you met?
Yes, Lana, Kevin, who I know, you, who I know, Julie, and then Helen, and Michael, who I think at one of the meetings I attended as a guest. Oh, I guess she's looking for 2 more members.
We can definitely have more members.
Yes.
2 more, including one that used to be. Okay.
And
But thank you.
It was very gracious. Thank you very much for accepting me. And also
Yeah, yeah. So right now, just because the summer is coming up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we have 6 people. So if you divide 6, if you 50% of 6 is 3, right?
Yep, a quorum is 4.
So 3 plus 1 is the quorum.
I will be traveling on work business during next month's meeting, so I will not be able to attend in June.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I was actually looking to possibly change it, but if everyone else could be here, I can see about.
I'm gonna be traveling the entire month of June, so no matter when you change
Oh,
it to, I won't be here.
Okay.
And I just checked about July, and our July meeting is quite early. It's like the 9th. Yeah. So I can do that. Okay, good. And then everyone else, well, since we're talking about it, does anyone else have any issues for June or July?
What's the June date?
11th.
June 11th and July 9th.
I'll be here.
Okay, any modifications to the agenda? I think we've got the, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think everything else can come up, announcements and stuff. Okay. Membership update. Oh, I guess the membership update is that there was someone who was maybe interested, he couldn't attend, he said he was gonna watch the meeting, never heard from him. And then there were 3 other people that we could follow up with, which is it in that box?
Probably the one of the paper.
Yeah.
And are you gonna follow up with them or do we?
Let's go. I can, do one of you do it, or do you want me to do it?
I mean, if you wanna give me like whatever the, I guess the spiel is to
Oh, okay, all right,
connect it with the.
okay, I'll follow up with you then.
And when you're speaking with them, just let them know that there's also the Final Smart Kingston Commission, which does not currently have vacancies, but just so they know the difference between the 2 commissions.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, review and approval of the April meeting minutes. I had sent some changes in. Kevin and I spoke in the other room, and he seemed to be okay with it.
Yeah, there was one question I had that Emily had for me, and I left an incomplete sentence, because if you recall what happened at the last meeting, my battery died,
Yeah.
and there was a recovered document. And it didn't recover all, like, there was one sentence that didn't recover, it's just like open-ended. And I couldn't find the text in the video. So it had to do with the solar mapping. So what I did was I said, if there is a conflict with the form-based code, the form-based code shall govern.
Sure.
So
So when you said the minutes, some was in yellow, what did that mean? Yellow were corrections?
maybe Emily sent that,
Yeah.
because she did track.
I just wonder what the
I
yellow
just
was.
use track changes, so.
Oh, but the yellow just meant corrections, is that what that meant?
Yeah,
Okay.
probably, and it might depend on.
For the most part, it was
It
editorial.
might be.
It was editorial.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes there's a
I have to
passive
get up to
voice,
speed
or
on it.
I don't use a passive, that type of thing.
To get up to speed on the text.
Yeah.
I just saw
now
a
the
typo,
word-
but I know you found everything, so.
Julie, did you have changes?
No.
Okay.
On Emily's comments on the new business, A, it says, I don't know, the second page, I guess, about based on conceptual design already completed, which includes terracing and stems.
Well, that's a mistake.
What's the stems supposed to be?
I don't know, that's a mistake.
Stems from the climate and
Oh, and it stems, like, it was a stem.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm thinking of stems, the plant. like
Yeah.
stems, like- Okay, got it. Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
It wasn't.
No, it's not a typo. Okay.
All right, we'll just leave that then.
Spin off or
Yes,
something.
yeah, no, that's fine.
And the community preservation plan, that's what we talked about, right, Kevin? That the transfer of homes,
No.
Right, that's-
That would be,
is that totally different?
yeah.
I'm just
that's a
reading, I'm
different-
not sure what this is, but I can ask after the meeting.
Yeah, that's a different.
Or Google it.
everything.
I have an article from the
Community preservation plan, you can go on Engage Kingston, and there's a lot of.
There's a lot about it. I just don't know what that is.
Well, we tried to explain it.
I'm sure you did, but, you know, it's very comprehensive.
Yes.
Only so much I can process, but, this was the idea of a tax.
Yes.
Real
Yeah.
estate tax and helps pay for land preservation. Got it.
And it also could be for historic preservation.
Got it, yes, now I remember. And that has to go to the common council, right? Here in March.
Yeah, the common council has to do a bunch of stuff. So we can get on the budget, I mean, the budget,
Yeah.
the ballot.
And so
I know.
did CAC weigh in on that?
Well, we helped write the community preservation plan, which came out of the open space plan, which came out of the NRI, Natural Resources Inventory.
So the answer is
So-
yes, you helped write it, you helped.
Yeah, we wrote
Can
the
you see
environmental assessment
Oh, wow.
for it to the common council and submitted it to the corp council.
Mhm.
It dropped one of the documents out, I think,
Which one?
the appendix, the thing that had the reference to the town
Oh,
code.
we did?
Yeah,
I didn't even see that.
I spoke, I'm jumping ahead. We're doing minutes, right? And I'm doing
Yeah.
community preservation.
So, yeah.
I'll keep track of that train of thought when we get there.
Just know when you're ready. Done reading it. You guys ready?
Yeah, I read it before too.
All right. Anyone want to have a motion to approve it with corrections?
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Great. Okay, old business, planning board projects 140 to 150 Boulevard and 66 to 92. Got it.
I don't think it's on the agenda for the planning board.
Okay,
I can see it.
so we can keep thinking about it.
Keep it on the agenda?
Yeah. Okay, B, with smoke air quality subcommittee. I wanted to say one thing that I learned at EMC, which was that the people are upset about the diesel used by the train, the tourist train. So they're actually gonna work with electric, or I don't know, to monitor the.
I thought they're gonna add that to like the air quality monitoring.
Yeah, they should do something, so, but that was, yeah, so I learned that from that, so, and then we're gonna talk about the letter, but, what did I? So I personally put together this just for the repair, but we have a lot left over, so it's not great.
No, it's great. I
The
think
first
it's-
youth fair was great, by the way. I saw these two and yeah, it was a great day.
So these are both about air quality. I just put one on one side, or Julie did. No idling, and then, about the yard equipment, so. You know if I can.
I think that's a technicality.
So, anyway, so we have tons of those if you want to take some.
How many did you make?
I made 50 copies, so 150 individuals. You put some downstairs on your way out.
Yeah,
I mean, I can see them in people's mailboxes.
Yeah. Okay, and then the other thing, the other thing that just came out was NYSERDA came out with a guide to, buying the machines, so I actually put that as a QR code. But also there is some kind of clean energy communities points for if towns, start convert to electric. So, and I know we saw that, and so I think we're gonna add that.
Well, you had emailed something, because I
know.
read all about it, so
I
that
know.
should be maybe an addendum to the letter?
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
because I couldn't find that, but you found it, because I said, no, that's great, but somewhere in the email,
Yeah.
it's there. So I have a question about these quickly. Is there a plan to distribute things? Like, like at the farmer's market or at businesses?
There is no plan. We can put them downstairs, we can put them anywhere, there's a place to put them, like at the library.
Uh-huh.
That's what I say, take them and.
Yeah, because I think we should distribute them,
Distribute them.
Put them at the library and, I don't know, at the farmer's market, how that works, which
Yeah.
table.
And stewards, on their bulletin board.
Yeah, we should definitely distribute them, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so then Lynn, since Lynn joined the committee before, this CAC before our last meeting, between our last meeting and this one, I just gave her the letter. I gave her all the information actually from Leah, and then she took it and wrote a letter. And then basically I have permission to just send it out. But she and I are going to keep working on it. Does anyone want to discuss it here? Lynn, actually, do you?
Well, I made a couple changes because people had commented. One of the comments was, are you going to mention that we already sent a letter, which I did. So I rephrased the beginning where I'll just read it, it's only a couple sentences. One goal of the City of Kingston's climate action plan is reducing city emissions by 50% by 2030, and then this is what I changed. We are following up on our March 4th letter to you on this subject to reiterate our strong recommendation that all city-owned gasoline-powered lawn and leaf blowing equipment be phased out. And I just put that in there and replace with battery-powered machines, comments, and important means of reaching that target. So I just put in there, it's the follow-up letter.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing I changed, because somebody said, well, do we want to meet with them? So at the end, I said, any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we welcome the opportunity to discuss this with you further. Thanks very much for your attention. That's great. Do we want to say who they would talk to, or?
Yeah, I can add, like, call me up or.
Yeah, I think we should have a person, like.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna sign it, so.
And then where I had the check on my service clean energy community site, maybe you want to say there, attached is information on the points or something.
Yeah.
And then I also put at the end attached, like I think we should attach additional resources that you had sent. And then the NYSERDA's.
Yeah, I did, I think Malia sent.
Yeah, that Malia, I think we should just attach it.
Yeah,
Although I could not open the Washington Post and the Atlantic, because you have to subscribe.
oh, yes.
So I wouldn't do that because I don't keep it simple, but everything
Yeah,
else is great. And then I think attach a sheet with the clean energy points for
Right,
the grant, because that's like a no-brainer, right? If you can, helps you get a grant.
right, but that would mostly be, well, anyway, how would that work? Julie, you usually get the,
Yeah, which one is it?
Oh, I should have saved it when you sent it, because I mean, she found it, and I couldn't find it, because there's so many emails.
I don't know which, oh, electric landscaping equipment, 200 points.
yeah,
That's new.
yes, it is new.
All right, well, let's see what we actually have to prove. Electric landscaping certification form must be completed and submitted. And so what is the electric landscaping certification form? Let's see.
Are you on the NYSERDA website?
I just Googled clean energy communities, high impact actions.
What word are they using, lawn,
Electric landscape.
Could somebody give me the, password? Yes, I guess I did guess, right?
City Hall 2001, all lowercase. All right, so to prove that we would get these points, we would need to fill out an electric landscape equipment certification form with the city's name, type, contact person, title, and zoning. To earn credit for the electric landscape equipment high impact action under the Clean Energy Communities Program, please complete the electric landscape equipment tab below, complete the certification, and submit. Okay, so we would have to include the total number of pieces of equipment purchased, either leaf blowers, vacuums, trimmers, edgers, cutters, riding mowers, push mowers, pressure washer, chainsaws, pole saws, what the purchase date is, the voltage of the new equipment, the battery capacity of the new equipment, the new equipment kilowatt capacity, the gallons of fuel equivalent per hour, the total kilowatts, the annual hours of operation,
Oh, my God.
kilowatt
No one's gonna get these.
hours per gallon equivalent, the annual fuel savings in gallons, and the greenhouse gas emissions reduction.
I mean, some lawnmowers and stuff, they actually do hours, not like mileage, but.
Right.
But you.
Where is all the equipment kept, Julie? I mean, is it DPW, where they have
Well,
a,
parks and DPW.
so is that like on Grand Street, that whole complex? Where do they keep?
There
all
isn't
this?
just one location, but generally, most of the DPW stuff is kept at their yard, which is over on the intersection of Hasbrook, Prince,
Yep, I know what you mean.
Garden,
Yep, I know what you mean.
and then parks. Most of the park stuff, well, it's dispersed. Some of it is up near Beats, some of it is at the Andy Murphy Center, some of it's at the beach. Some of it's in their trucks.
Because I just wondered, practically speaking, what they would have to do, like would they have to put more, plugs in to, what's involved?
They would have to buy new equipment, buy the batteries that would.
Right, and then have enough outlets to plug the batteries in.
And enough batteries to be able to continue to do their job effectively.
Right,
And by the way, for this certification, you would need to prove greater than 5 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent.
how do you,
Oh, my God.
this is, you need a physicist to like,
All right,
So what I'm getting at is like, you can add the concept of the clean energy communities, and that would be a goal that we would strive for. But frankly, unless we switched our entire system,
yeah,
this is going to be a difficult one to achieve
yeah.
for a very small amount of
Yes.
but what I'm
So they
wondering
put
is maybe in the letter we should say, as old equipment wears out,
Yeah,
maybe we should say something there about replacement, because that seems more feasible.
I
Yeah,
think
that's phasing things in.
I think that's a
So-
very important thing to say,
Yeah,
because right
so-
now they're feeling a little bit alarmed, expecting that the CAC is expecting them to switch out all the.
Right, so I'm
Yeah.
wondering where we would say that,
I think that should be prominent
Yeah,
in the letter.
yeah, so maybe we should say, one goal of the city, I think we need to mention our
that
goal.
all city-owned be phased out,
Yes,
phased out, we said phased out.
We said
Phased
phased
out
out.
over time.
well, we just said phase out, be phased out and replaced. But maybe we should add a line that says
Yeah.
something about as old machines, as gas powered.
Well, because phased out and replaced could mean do it now.
Right, but I'm saying, that we could say after that, as gas powered
Yeah.
machines wear out,
Reach their end of their life,
And
reach the end of their life.
useful life.
And thank you, of their useful life. Or maybe we should say something like, as gas powered machines reach their life, one way to achieve this over time or something would be
Yeah.
let me say that.
yeah, I don't think we need to finesse this to right now, because you and I can work on this offline, but,
But I want to get
Oh,
this
what-
done, because I don't want to have to work, one way to,
so, and then the other thing is that, so we need to definitely clean, soften that first sentence, add paragraph, and then kind of say something about the clean community thing, but don't emphasize it because it sounds like it would be really.
We could just say one goal to strive, besides the benefits environmentally, there's also direct cost benefits in terms of incentives from Clean Energy Communities Program with the awards direct from the achievement of.
Well, I mean, the question is where we say that,
It's in
because, you know,
second to
we
last
start talking about
paragraph.
all the problems, right? I'm thinking maybe we want to change the order. Well, we can work on it later,
Yeah,
but we do want to say something about, what Julie just said.
Well, because I don't know that you mentioned Clean Energy Communities at all.
Well, I did.
Where?
At the, let's see how many.
The last
One,
paragraph.
two, no,
Second
it's
to
three,
last.
four,
Oh, I see.
5, 6, 7 paragraph. New York Department of Environmental Plans converting all, you know, I should give examples, and then I said, my
Okay.
CERTA is incentivizing municipalities in the state to use. I did say it.
Yep, so you might also just mention there, as Kingston is a statewide leader in.
I did.
Clean energy community.
Wait,
but not specifically clean energy.
no, but, just 1 second. Below that, I start the next paragraph. As the first climate smart community in the state to earn silver certification, Kingston has demonstrated its commitment to sound environmental policies.
And
But what I'm saying is,
unfortunately, there's also
right,
clean
so that
energy.
that happened like 10+ years ago. Right now, as we
Okay.
speak, we are currently the highest scoring clean energy community
But I mean,
in the state.
no one is doing these electric machines then?
That particular
That's kind of
action,
outrageous.
No, this
Brand
was,
spanking
this
new. Very
was
expensive.
brand new. Also, it was brand new.
Okay, so hang on a second. As Kingston is the highest scoring clean energy,
Communities.
city, we are technically the highest scoring city.
clean energy community city, right? Clean
Yes.
energy community is all capitalized.
Yeah,
Yes.
Energy city, so what do we want to say after that? That this would be a good thing to do, like as Kingston is the highest scoring clean energy community city. Do we want to take out the climate smart community? Is that too old?
no. Oh,
Sorry, I just find it very difficult to participate in this conversation because you're working on a longer document that I can't.
no, I
Yes,
think, I think we got it. Is there any other more, things, Julie? Okay. Linda, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to work offline on this.
Okay, that's fine, but I mean, I sent copies of everybody.
I know, I just,
Maybe next time bring a printed so people can look at it. Oh, that is a printed copy.
No, that's the,
it's in group editing of a long document.
I guess the question, is there anything else, Julie, just so we don't have to keep checking back?
No, just make sure you're sending it to the mayor.
I thought it was a very, very good draft, it's just
Yeah.
minor tweaking.
Yeah.
And it's very long, so if there's ways we can cut it, maybe we can cut some of the bad stuff, since, you know, it's kind of obvious, but I've learned don't assume anything.
right. Okay, thank you so
Yes.
much.
You're welcome.
Anything more on air quality?
I don't mind.
Okay, solar mapping?
Solar mapping, I don't have an update, still working on putting together the draft that we're gonna be submitting to the county by June. That's currently in the hands of Brad Borquist, from Climate Smart, and now from the city of Kingston. He has been hired by the city
Oh,
to work in the engineering office.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Can you still be on Climate Smart?
He will be the engineering representative to Climate Smart.
Great.
Was that a new position or he just applied for a vacancy that already existed?
He applied for a different job, and in that interview for the city, and in that interview, it was identified that his skills would be better used in the engineering department.
That's great.
And sorry, you work for the county?
Nope, he worked for a private company,
But he was on Climate
but
Smart.
he was and is on Climate Smart.
how's
So
that gonna work with his scheduling conflicts?
I don't know, nor do we need to discuss that publicly.
No,
So,
I mean attending the meeting, that's what I meant,
Yeah.
client meeting.
So,
Not to mean anything
Yeah.
else.
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah,
client
yeah, no,
meeting.
I'm
When I talk to the person.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
What deadline is in June? What is that?
Okay, so the county executive set an executive order. Well, let me restate. The state has a goal of 70% renewable energy production by 2030 for the state.
Right.
So that 70% of our energy would be coming from renewable energy by 2030. And by our, I mean the entire state,
You're meaning that everyone or just city governments?
everyone.
Everyone.
I mean, there's no way that's gonna happen.
So since that is incredibly ambitious, the county executive directed with the legislature is directing each municipality in Ulster County to create a solar mapping plan that identifies how each individual community would achieve 70%. So how's Gardner gonna do it? How's Marbletown gonna do it? How's Kingston gonna do it? Hurley, Surrey, blah, blah, blah. That was tasked to, so each community was encouraged to participate in the Scenic Hudson How to Solar Now training. The How to Solar Now tool is a solar mapping tool that Scenic Hudson created, and it basically walks you through mapping out all the potential areas for solar, both ground mount and roof mount, in your community using mapping. And knowing where the power lines are, and where the wetlands are, and everything else that you need to think about. Where the big roofs are, big parking lots, and everything else. So Climate Smart Kingston Commission, a couple members, took the training, and they and I are working on putting together this plan. Each community has been asked to create our individual community plan by June. Then each community's plan is going to be pulled together, all 16 or 18 hour communities that are in the county, into one county plan, which is going to be presented to the legislature by November. Which will then ideally say, this is how Ulster County is going to achieve the state's goals of 70% by 2030.
Do we know what Ulster County is at now with renewable energy, or what Kingston is?
Kingston, I made a note and I don't have it with me. It's a very, very, very large amount that we have to produce. And we don't physically have the space to do it, is the bottom line. Because we aren't Gardner or Marbletown, where it's like small amount of people, large amount of land. We are a large amount of people, small amount of land.
But lots of rooftops.
Lots of rooftops, but still, even with the amount of rooftops we have, we still, and this is a little bit of a spoiler alert, because we don't have the final plan together yet, but it's just not gonna be able to be achieved within our limits.
What are the different kinds of, so there's solar, geothermal, I mean, are you taking into?
So we're gonna have to go to other sources besides just solar.
Right.
They want us to primarily look at solar, but we're not going to be able to. What I don't know yet is if they will consider and count community solar. So for instance, right now, I've got almost, 250 or more families that are signed up for a community solar project, which means they will be getting their power from solar, but the solar system is going to be in New Windsor.
Yeah, I
Not
signed up for
here.
that.
So does that count? It should. We haven't talked about that yet. And again, so it's 70% renewables, not just 70% solar. So these are all things that we're still trying to figure out. But the bottom line is, that's what's happening. And the zoning aspect of it is that in this process, we're also going to identify roadblocks that would stop us from doing that. And if zoning is one of those roadblocks, so if our current new zoning says, yeah, this area is considered T, whatever the open space one is, but that says you can't have large scale solar there, then what the heck are we gonna do? We need to be able to have large scale solar there.
But I guess it makes any sense. What are cities gonna do all over the state? I mean, we're a small city.
Well,
This
the
could be
thing
an
is,
issue with
is
every
that
city.
the county, one of the things the county is assuming is that we're gonna be self-sufficient.
Well-
And that
I'll tell you, I mean, I don't wanna go off on it, but first of all, make solar affordable for residents, and we'd all have solar on our rooftops.
the thing about it.
It's expensive.
No, but this is just this is like a planning document, like you can put you know, you can put a gas station here, or you can put, a factory here, because someone still has to invest in it.
Right,
So I wouldn't worry about that, that's like, but they're also assuming that we're gonna be self-sufficient, where instead of depending, say, on wind from Montgomery County.
yeah, but so this plan,
In New York,
this
so-
is similar, if you think of it mirroring the whole open space trajectory. First, we did our natural resources inventory, which is inventorying what we have. Then we created a plan, then we created a fund. This is the inventory of what we have, then create a plan from that, and then create a fund. So once the county has all the different communities' plans, which we're creating now, then they and each community will have to figure out how the heck are we going to achieve that? With incentives, with funding, with.
And that includes cars, that's most of, I mean, that includes transportation.
Yeah, I was just
No,
gonna
I
ask
think it's
you.
from electricity.
Because, you know, then it goes back to the power stations, because you might have read the New York Times article about we could all use heat pumps, which are amazing. But the question is how the power is generated.
Yeah, but
It's
you know
mostly
what,
natural gas.
Totally, you are totally right, but.
I mean, it can't
And
be,
that's the thing, like, part of this.
that would
is-
be more
Part
significant.
of this is, you know, is the grid gonna handle it and identifying
And they need
that?
to upgrade the wires because they can get more.
Yeah, and then, but also whether or not there's backup, you know.
But I mean,
batteries or something.
Is this from the governor or from the legislature?
No, this is completely the county. No, let me
I thought you
just
said
say,
the state.
no, the state has this goal and the state is working on it. But the county decided to kind of, to go in and say, well, this is how we're gonna do
How are we
it.
gonna play our part?
This is
towards
how we're
achieving
gonna play
this?
it.
But I mean, it doesn't make sense because again, power generation is major and we don't have control over that. That's Central Hudson.
So this kind of plan could also be, all of those things will happen. It's going to, it could say, if we wanted to achieve this, this has to happen, but this, and this power grid will need to be upgraded. Central Hudson, if we want to achieve these goals, this, and this needs to happen. I mean, it.
So in other words, we would work backward. In other words, if we're gonna have more electrify everything, electrify cars, electrify appliances, electrify heat, then we're gonna need more of a grid. So we work backwards,
Mhm.
but then we have to get everybody on heat pumps.
So
We have to
But
get everyone
that's
with
why-
electric
yeah,
cars.
And that's what people,
And
that's
that's
why
why
there
right now
are
it's not affordable
incentives.
for most people.
But that is why there are incentives, and we're just moving ahead very slowly to make sure that, so that things will become more affordable. And we also know that like these, you know, there's a big need for the battery grids, the battery
The
storage.
batteries, and by the way,
So-
the cheap cars that are made in China that cost $11,000, electric cars will not be sold here.
So, I mean, what I'm talking about is you have to have batteries for nighttime electricity and
Need storage.
storage, battery storage, yes. So these are all things that we all know, and I know 2030 is only 6 years away. But you know what, if you don't start planning, like in 2010.
Planning is its own process, and even if
Yeah.
the plan isn't perfect,
It's
you learn a
good.
lot during.
Right,
Process.
like when
Especially a little bit
in
further.
26,
But I mean-
2006 or 2010, you know, we started saying, in the 2020s, this is what sea level rise is gonna be like. And in the 2020s, this is what the temperature is gonna be like. And now we're here at it, you know, and were we right about the sea level rise? I'm not sure, but
Seems like, you know,
You know,
but I think in the
yeah.
county, a huge source of this is cars, is transportation. Because everybody drives, so that would be,
This particular state goal is for electricity.
so this is,
So our calculations are not only based on our current consumption, but they're based on also ramping up how much our demand is going to be
Yeah.
based on the electrification of our system.
all right, so it's only about the electrification, the grid, basically.
This particular goal.
Making
of
the
state-
grid green, 170% green.
This particular goal.
But again, how can we do that without, it's the utilities. They
it is
control
the
that.
utilities, because we are taking the power away from the utilities. You have to understand that solar farms are not the utility, they're a different utility.
But another way to look at that is, for example, heat pumps are extremely efficient. More efficient appliances reduce the amount of electrification you need. So that's also part of this.
No, all of that is a part of it. I don't think we're disagreeing.
Right.
I think that I just, all I want to know is what's the name of this so that when we talk about it, what is the legislature or the
The
executive?
directive,
Is,
I don't know the
there's
answer
no
to
like
that.
cool short name.
there probably is a cool short name, but I
Okay,
will
So
get
what-
that to you by the end of the meeting.
okay. All right, thank you.
But I have one more question. Julie, so when you do the mapping, so we're obviously an urban area, which has tons of rooftops, even though I know it's not, we don't have farm fields, that's another issue. But we do have, like, look at Midtown. We have tons of rooftops that would be really help.
But they're
We do.
calculating that. That's
Yeah.
part of the, you should take a look at the solar mapping tool.
Okay,
It
I
is
will.
really cool.
So you've calculated it in there. If everyone could get solar on their roofs, if it was affordable, if
Or
there were
if you-
incentives, that's part of what goes into this?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
and
that's
that's in
interesting. 'Cause I
consideration
love to
that
know.
not every roof is able to be solar
Right.
ready.
Right, so that's useful though, because
Yeah.
I would.
No, it's a
that would
really
be-
good start. It's a really good start. And I, you know, the thing is, like Ulster County thought of doing this and I doubt another town is doing it. So.
Another county.
County.
But June, so wait a minute, so the deadline is next month?
Yeah, but they've been working on it.
We've been working on
If you
it for
go
a long
back our minutes, talk about this for quite a while.
Well, I do see a reference here from MANA calling it the Ulster County 70 by 30 Renewable Energy Generation Challenge.
All right,
Okay.
the 70 by 30
Ulster County 70 by 30 Renewable Energy Generation Challenge.
generation challenge, okay.
Renewable.
The 70 by 30
Ulster
challenge.
County 70 by 30 Renewable Energy Generation Challenge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. I'm gonna go on to the city plan review. Raise.
So what does rate stand for again?
Resilient. You don't know, Ray.
Maybe it's in the,
It's,
I can put it, I don't want to slow the meeting down, I'll find it.
well, what it is, raising up,
We're building American infrastructure with sustainability and equity. Rebuilding, rebuilding American infrastructure with sustainability and equity.
So this is a grant,
So this is a-
federal grant?
This is a federal grant that the city got for 22 million or 27 million, I can't remember. 20, a lot million, with 5 components to basically raise up our waterfront. It's still not in contract yet, so I don't actually have enough data.
great,
But I
Except
mean,
that we did get
That's
additional
Schumer.
funding from Schumer's office
yeah,
yeah.
and also Michelle Lynch's office to.
but
supplement.
the only thing I'm wondering about is Kingston Point, isn't that like protected wetlands?
We're not there yet.
Yes,
Okay,
Kingston Point improvements.
right, so,
So, that, we have a separate, almost $1 million project grant to take that parking lot that is underwater and make that into an actual wetland. And then raise the other half of it.
right, but as I mentioned before, and I know this is down the road, I'm concerned about the rail line.
Yeah,
Because
we're not-
there are a
yeah,
lot of
that's-
reading birds and that's a
Yeah.
nesting site.
That's a different project.
I know, but I mean, I want to bring it up now
Yeah.
because I don't want to hear, oh, it's too late, you know, I just think like,
Yeah, the rail line, you mean the rail line that's out by the
yeah,
lighthouse?
that little train goes on, you know.
Yeah, so that is,
I thought they were trying to have a boardwalk.
it is, the track itself is not part of the project.
Yeah, but that's gonna affect, I mean, that is protected wetland. And if you start building things,
Wait. So first of all, the DEC is gonna protect the wetlands. They are really hard.
but I don't know how you can build something there and
And,
protect it.
but this, first of all, please get to the agenda because
Yes.
this is not part of the agenda.
So we'll
This
bring it
is
up
not
there.
what we're talking about.
Yes,
So the cool thing is when you drive down in towards when you drive into Kingston Point, the beach is on the left and the Kingston Point Park is on the right, and the ball fields are on the right, and the BMX, and that parking lot on the right is completely flooded almost all the time. So they are going to make that into a wetland. And, put in parking somewhere else, basically. And we actually got a grant from DOS to figure out how to do just that.
I thought the parking was gonna be raised.
It is, half of it's gonna be raised and half of it's going to be made into an actual wetland.
So the whole parking lot, half will be a parking lot raised, half will be the wetland that they'll create.
So, so is that moving along?
So like,
Yeah, okay.
Not as.
I mean, 'cause I think-
Water is moving in faster than the plant is moving along.
It is
Yeah,
pretty neat to walk down there and see it.
And of course, it probably floods because it was a wetland originally. It was all
Well, it was an
filled.
island.
Oh, right, it was an island, because that's where the dump was.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking a long time ago, when it was
So-
Cantines Island.
Yeah, the hill that the ball field in the
Yeah,
game,
that's the dump.
that was a
Landfill,
landfill.
yeah.
But
So,
the park itself, in part of the Rotary Park was an island.
Island, yeah.
yeah,
Or most of the Rotary Park.
My other thing I'm concerned about, that'll come up later on, right? In future months and bring it up then.
yes, yeah. Okay, so, because by the way, I think I am on the advisory committee and I haven't heard anything, so.
correct.
Kingston Organics,
Kingston Organics, I was hoping by the Earth Fair we would hit 1,000 and we did not. We're at 992, which is still amazing.
And I'm sorry, what is that? That's,
Kingston Organics is the food scraps drop-off, voluntary drop-off program for Kingston residents where they can bring their food scraps to one of 12 different food scrap drop-off locations. And that gets brought to Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency to be made into compost. And so it's diverted out of the waste stream.
and when did it start? Like how?
It started in July of 2023. I have 452 families registered, which is 992 people. And so far, it's been 44 weeks of collection and we've gathered 26.55 tons
That's fabulous.
out of the waste stream.
That's great.
Yes, it's really.
And they're all households, are there any like local restaurants that
They're not-
sign up?
they're not
They're
supposed
not
to.
currently permitted. There are many that want to. And there are many that pay private services. And with the next phase, which we intend to roll out ideally this year, it would be citywide curbside collection available for free to businesses and residents. It's going to be a big project to roll out, actually probably wouldn't start till next year, unfortunately, but it's going to actually be an economic impact on our city because right now there are private companies that currently haul compost out of businesses and they pay for that service. We're going to be shifting it to a service that they don't have to pay for, which economically for the businesses is great, not great for the business that is hauling. But the one private hauler that does it, primarily does it, we have been in communication with from the beginning. But we also have to figure out an actual strategy because one of the reasons we didn't start with restaurants right yet, there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
Primarily, which they have a lot, like a lot. They have a lot front of house and they have a lot back of house, and there's a lot more room for contamination. So if it's like one or two people in a house, those one or two people probably aren't gonna contaminate. But if it's like scraping every plate and everyone in the back of the house and everyone in the restaurant, there's far more room for contamination. And the volume would be much more substantial. There's a lot of restaurants we don't actually pick up from at all because there's just too much volume. So like, there is, in our solid waste code, there are restrictions on how much solid waste we can pick up. We're only supposed to be picking up like 18, like, let's say 9 garbage cans full. So there are places like Savona's or Little Italy or, you know, Ship to Shore or Mariners or Hoffman House, like any of the big restaurants that have unbelievable volume. They have to get their own dumpster and get their own private hauler. They're smaller, like mom and pop little cafes and stuff. Sometimes we pick them up, so.
but you're not talking about food waste, she's talking about garbage.
Anyway,
Yeah, when you said contamination, I was confused.
No,
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 when we
the
switch to food
contamination is for food waste, so, but like if you go to Dysings, they put all their recycling out for the city. And I don't know what they do with their waste, but,
they have a private hauler for the
and
waste.
the same thing with Hoffman House, like, they put all their, you know, their paper and their cans and, but sometimes they have a private hauler, so now what they would be doing, if they are not already separating, they would have chance to separate and have the city pick up.
For the food waste.
So the food waste, but there's some that have a, then we don't know, but now they're gonna be producing far less actual waste because at least 30% of their food, of their
Right.
waste is food. So does that mean that they have reduced it enough that we're now gonna also pick up their trash? So it changes our entire sanitation system. But that's what we're shifting towards.
And you can also, you could phase it in by days or something.
Yeah.
And all these food scraps are part of composting.
They're all going
Yeah,
to Ulster
they
County
go-
Resource Recovery Agency, which is where we bring all of our trash and recycling, and they're composting it on site, and then they're selling it 60 days later.
So, yeah, and so for right now, the program, which is that you can, any unit, any household registers, gets the code, and then they can go to their choice of city parks or city facilities. So there's one over at the Midtown Neighborhood Center, Annie Murphy Center, there's.
Roanoke Center, the
But-
Hodge
but-
Center,
I don't do it
Park,
because I
Warren
can't.
Park.
Right, I do my, but one question about that. So when, given the problem with waste and Seneca Falls closing eventually, I mean, we want to reduce the waste, right? So when you say, Julie, it changes the calculus because then their garbage may be less. So then a private hauler's doing it now, but you're talking about short term. It may put more pressure on the city because we have to pick up more, even though you're reducing the overall waste.
Right.
Exactly,
Which is our
so
goal.
we're reducing the overall waste, but our
But it
actual
creates-
tipping fees will go up.
Right,
we will not
because
be-
you're picking up more.
Correct.
It could just mean that instead of going out to dump the waste 3 times a day, you might have to go 4 times a day if there's more. So
Yeah.
it is a whole system thing.
More
But that's
trucks,
great,
more
we're really
staff.
thinking about it.
And do we know like how much is commercial, how much is residential, like commercial? Do you have, you probably don't break it out.
In the city,
Yeah,
right now we pick up from about 7,000 individual households and about 350 commercial. Every other commercial besides those 350 has to haul themselves.
right, so there's more than 350 commercial units.
Yeah, farmer.
So I just wanted to say that there is also a law that is a state law that says that if a business generates X amount of waste a week or a month, and there is a composting or anaerobic digester within X miles, they must separate their waste. So that is a totally different thing, but it also is statewide, providing for people anyway, in the, what is it, Dicey's?
There's currently, based on the Ulster County law, there's about a dozen or 20 Kingston businesses that fall into the requirement to compost.
Which is that law?
Enforcement, which is what Ulster, that's an Ulster County law, enforcement would be by Ulster County. We're doing it or not, I can't speak to that.
But they are educating about it, so, and just to confuse everyone, Ulster County had the law first, and then the state had the law. And so, who knows which law it is, but it's still a really great.
But it's a state law at this point.
Okay, so community preservation plan. At the last meeting, Julie said she was gonna talk to the common council, and she did, and Freeman covered it, so I always like to let you know when that happens. So Julie went on laws and rules,
Third Wednesday of the month.
yeah, right after our meeting, the third Wednesday, so.
It's probably April 18th.
It was in the Freeman that day, you're saying?
Yeah, here it is. So you can pass that.
Yeah, I get the.
So yes, all three community preservation plan legislative pieces, local laws are going before the Laws and Rules Committee tomorrow night. So
Okay.
tomorrow night, the Laws and Rules Committee will vote to either move forward the community preservation plan, the advisory board and fund, and the real estate transfer tax. And they're pushing, and the law currently states 1.5% real estate transfer tax.
1.5,
Yep. On every real estate transfer over $350,000, which is this current, well, let me restate. Over the median
Right.
household income of the year. As
Not the median
established,
household income, medium
Meaning
median real estate sale.
sale,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not median household income, that's not what I meant, real estate sale,
real estate.
which currently is $350,000.
Right.
So anything, any sale, and that will change every year and be established by the Commissioner of Tax and Finance. So, if this goes through local, if these three local laws pass through the council tomorrow night, through the Laws and Rules Committee tomorrow night, it will go to the Common Council for a first reading in June and the second reading in July. Then will be signed into local law in July, then it will go to the Board of Elections in August, and then the language will get put on the ballot and will go to referendum in November for vote by the community. If that is voted on and approved, it will go into effect January 1st.
Do you have any sense of how they're gonna vote?
I have a sense that everyone is in favor of it.
And I was just gonna say, I think laws and rules, they don't allow public comment.
They do not allow public comment. People can make public comment at the Common Council
Yeah,
meeting.
but not at laws and rules.
Correct.
But you can go and look
We
into
were
it.
invited by myself, Michael Drollinger.
No, last time, but I know, but like if we wanted to go tomorrow, they won't take public comment.
No.
But we could just go and be.
No, we're gonna be on the Zoom.
I'm also going to be
And
on there.
they may ask us questions.
What time is it?
We
'Cause
just
there's-
stay quiet.
It's at 6:30.
Because Midtown Thriving is at 6.
The lost thought I had before, 6:30, right?
Midtown Thriving is
Oh.
tomorrow night at 6, and then they're gonna be here at 6:30. And Laws and Rules is gonna be here at 6:30.
Usually they're in here.
Yeah, okay, that's gonna be announced. Okay,
The lost thought that I had before, I was on the final, the long form on the full environmental assessment form. And what I could tell in the attachment that you sent, Julie, that they had dropped out I had done an appendix to it, giving them justification for a negative declaration, not just checking off the box in the form, negative declaration, like the developers do. Right. Yeah, so I figured, well, let's give them some substance here. And we took that from other communities in the Hudson Valley that had the community preservation plan. And, but they dropped, they appear to have dropped that out and just going with the checked off boxes. That's what it looked like to me. And I discussed this with Carly from Scenic Hudson today as to if she had a sense where we had a community preservation plan meeting with the land trust and Carly. And her feeling was that she wasn't sure why that would happen, except that the thing with, there was a reference to the town law that the Corp Council flagged when I originally submitted this. And the reason I left that in, because we're a city, is that other sections of the code reference that. So I don't want to start,
right.
yeah, okay, let the Corp Council sort this one out.
But the point is, do
You know,
you
I'm
think
not
the
scale, yeah.
DEC is gonna be upset that it's a net deck if they took that out? I mean, did Carly say it was gonna be an issue?
No, it's not an issue. It's not, I haven't seen all the FEAFs that the different towns have done, but it shouldn't be.
Okay,
When we did the open space plan, we did not do the interpretation document, we didn't do it. We just checked off the boxes and then that's how it went. On this one, what Carly said was the reason the town reference might be in there is we're the first city to do this.
How in the
Yeah,
first
In
city
New York?
in
yeah,
New York?
yeah,
mm-hmm,
that's what she said.
How?
Well, it's only allowed in certain areas.
Suffolk,
yeah.
Ulster.
Yeah, so,
You mean some counties that allow it?
it's
Well,
not,
no,
it's not even
this
all of
is-
Suffolk, it's just eastern.
Yeah,
Suffolk,
this
the
is a-
towns in East
this is a
Hampton,
lot, yeah.
Southampton, Southhold.
Or I guess they still have space.
No, I don't know why they're doing it.
Okay, it has nothing to do with.
Why, they did it a long time ago.
It's a state law and it was basically in Long Island and then they decided to bring it kind of up here. And then, but it's not out west. And so, the early adopters are New Falls, Gardner, Marltown.
Warwick.
Oh, so they all have the law.
Yeah, it's right, it's in there.
So we're not the first in the county, there are others in the county.
But they're not
Right.
cities.
Got it, that's when you said,
Others
well, we're the
are
only city.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
did
right.
Yonkers do it, did White Plains do
Got
it,
it.
did,
Yeah, no, I don't think they've done it. And there are no cities, as far as I know, in eastern Long Island, except I don't know if Riverhead is or not, but I'm sure they're involved.
So it's kind of a technicality.
Yeah, but the word, it's a different law.
Oh.
If you go to the consolidated laws of New York and the counties, whatever you want to call it, it's a different, the town law is a different law than the city, than the laws that govern cities.
One thing I'm learning is everything is really complicated. You have to have a-
Can
Welcome
be,
to our lives every day.
can be.
So that's.
So anyway, I'll know
that's-
tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
Nice.
I noticed that, like, the CAC didn't even plan on having anything at our Earth Fair. But also that, the Land Trust didn't have anything on this. Is it like too early to start talking about the community preservation plan or? Because then there's gonna be a ramp up from when it's on the ballot to November,
but
or that's when the
well, we
real,
did the survey process.
right, but just educating people about what it is.
I was kind of going with the strategy of it felt as though the trajectory of the council was amenable to it and the survey was amenable. And so doing any kind of campaigning wasn't necessary at this time, and so.
That was Carly's opinion too.
Okay, that's great, yeah,
So until the council, I'm thinking they're gonna pass this in the July meeting, so that it can be there by the August date for the
right, so
About-
it's the hearing in June and, so,
two
and then,
meetings. Yes.
right, so, and that's the time as individuals we can go and
So the real
speak at
estate,
the meeting.
the real estate industry hasn't been pushing back heavily on this.
Not yet.
No,
I got an email, I was just looking, from, Michael Drillinger. from the
Yeah,
Kingston
he's the
Trust.
chairperson of the land trust.
Yeah, like, last month, he sent me an email. I don't know why me specifically, did anyone else get anything from him?
What's the
But
context?
he was
It's,
there
it's
a while.
about the community, I had to, I mean, this was 6 weeks ago, he sent it to me, so I had a vague memory. It was about this subject. Let's see, Kingston has the opportunity to join other Hudson Valley communities in creating a community preservation fund. That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. Kingston Land Trust is leading the way to support a November ballot measure to create such a fund here in Kingston. We're asking for your help and partnership in this effort. We need help to spread the word. And I said, of course, let me know what to do. And he said they would follow up with more information about a meeting. They've created a webpage, so that they've had a webpage in place about this for a while. But I haven't heard further about like what exactly this
So
outreach.
reaching out to you in your context as a CAC member or board?
I think just as
Or-
someone who has supported the Kingston Land Trust in the past, I
Oh,
don't know,
Kingston Land
I live down the hill
Kingston Land Trust.
from somebody else who works at the Kingston Land Trust, so that they know me in a couple of different capacities.
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't say, I mean.
Probably
Exactly.
off the contact list from the KLT.
Yeah,
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 I mean, ultimately.
I would be involved in the process, making sure that's what it was.
yeah.
yeah, because sometimes they ask for financial support. Anyway, great.
But, yeah, I don't know if this was asking for financial support.
This wasn't asking for financial support, it's about
Yeah,
getting the word
that's
out,
great.
so.
So we'll be closer to doing that. That's great. So thank you for talking to me about kind of, about the telling people. Okay, New York, New Jersey hats.
There's, yeah,
Favorite acronym.
Hmm?
Is that the
I just like- it's
harbor, harbor
Harbor.
tributaries?
Yeah,
harbor area, yeah, tributary. Yeah, I was attending those meetings back in the day, and it is sort of back in the day already, and their, program is rapidly coming to a conclusion, and they do not have an update. But,
What does that
Emily,
mean, the program's coming to a conclusion? What does that
in
mean?
June,
Well, they have a funding.
they have to
Oh,
funding, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
They have a deadline.
if they don't get funding, or if they, yeah, I don't know.
Are you talking about the Army Corps?
The Army Corps, yeah.
To do this specific.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go to their website, it isn't updated to January. And in January, they were still, had major review, document and comment review issues. Because I think I've mentioned this before at other meetings, so try to keep it really short, but the Army, there were conflicting views on it. That's the short
You
story.
mean they have a civic plan?
They had 6 plans.
Oh, right, 'cause I know,
They picked
I
one.
covered
First, they
this
had
like
this
10 years
massive
ago.
plan. Yeah, well, that went out.
And Rick-
They have a more scaled back option.
Okay.
Out of the 6 options, they
Got
have a more scaled back one. One of the options is the no action option, so let's call them 5, really. And they picked, one of the 3A or 3B. I can't remember, 3A or 3B, but there are smaller barriers.
And some habitat,
And they just sort of, they didn't drop the Hudson Valley out of the project, but I think sort of north of Westchester, they kind of don't have an implementation plan for
Yeah,
us.
so we're just following it
Yeah,
because we'll be affected if. and-
yeah, I just wonder
Kevin doesn't mind.
where Riverkeeper stands on this, because they were very
They're
against.
opposed.
They're opposed.
Okay, they still
But,
are.
yeah,
Got
Dr.
it.
Bowman, who used to be at Stony Brook, is gung ho on it.
Okay,
So they're, and then, you know, Dr. Orton, I mean, he moved from Stevens Institute, and Wood Soul had weighed in at different points, but not in a confrontational.
so you have
adversarial
the
manner.
link here, Kevin, so if anyone wants to know where we can go on the
Yeah.
link.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure. But right now, there's nothing to report.
Nothing to report.
But I wouldn't take it off the agenda until we determine that the funding has either been pulled or renewed.
Okay, native plants, pollinator gardens. This is kind of like something that I know we want to do and that we just need to figure out what our role would be, but I just wanted to say that I attended a webinar. There is a Hudson Valley Pollinator Action Guide that has just come out. And it's out of I think the group is over in Columbia County. It's pretty interesting because they really talked about major like farm restoration, like big fields and stuff, not just like a little tiny homes. And so some of it was kind of like really in depth. But if you Google that, you can come across it. So that is just to say that I keep kind of trying to learn about this.
But you know that Woodstock is a member.
That's a
Okay.
different thing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that wouldn't be something we'd be interested in.
No, we would be interested in it.
Okay.
But we just,
Pollinator pathway, that's what it is.
yeah, they're a pollinator pathway. This is through the Climate Action Hudson Valley. And I don't know where they got their funding from, but it's just another thing. So I think that we could take this up under communication to local media. So anything else on that?
But what is your idea, to just promote this citywide, or what would happen?
Yeah, I don't have much of an idea. I just think that we need to do something.
Right,
So-
because the pollinator pathway you joined, they have like 166 members,
Yeah,
and the idea is creating pathways.
yeah, but the idea is to get people in Kingston to be aware of native plants and.
But that's what the
And also they
pollinator
got
pathway
the
is.
city government to incorporate it into their
Right.
planning, so. This reminds me, I'm curious about something, I don't know if it's related to this or not, but there's, the intersection where, I can't, no, as,
Come on, Malia.
yeah, the big, it's like where the big boulevard that goes, 9W meets with, is it 32 North?
Like we're right.
Albany Avenue goes.
No, over
There's a
by,
light, I know where you are.
Chester?
At that location intersection, what are you asking?
So there's this huge green space there.
Yeah.
And the past couple of days, I've noticed there's a big, fairly sizable triangle of space that has been marked out and dug up, and it looks like they're gonna plant something there. And I thought, what, I mean, are they planting native plants? It's the kind of thing where,
That's a state route, it's not us, I don't know who's doing that.
oh, okay.
So if you're if you're where the old Rite Aid was and the storage thing at the corner and on East Chester and Flatbush,
Mhm.
and you go out towards the town of Ulster and you turn right onto 9W.
Right,
Oh, right there.
exactly, that's big, right.
Oh, they're doing something there.
Yeah, so
Oh,
if you turn right there onto sort of
I
like the
drive-
ramp, and
I-
you'll see
yeah,
this
well,
big
yeah.
area to the left that
Oh, yeah.
And it looks
it's a
like
nice
they're
little-
they're gonna be planting something there, and it looks kind of like when they plant wildflowers along the interstate or something, that kind of thing, and, but you're right, so I just wondered, so these are the kind of things that we could take into consideration,
Mhm.
and we could encourage, various city agencies to,
Yeah,
you know, reduce the amount of mowing they do and set out certain areas where they put native plants in.
Yeah.
But I mean, the
As
thing
it
is,
is, that isn't even in the city of Kingston, that's in town.
Yeah,
but I mean,
Oh, right, okay.
the point about the pollinator pathway, I think the way they're so successful in Woodstock is because it's creating pathways.
Oh, yeah, no, I know, right now, we don't have a person that's working on this. So, or, trying to figure out how we can move ahead.
I would be happy to contact them and talk to them about it.
Okay.
If you want to just find out more about how they got going,
Yeah, and you can.
that gives me something to do, so why don't I do that?
Okay, super. Speaking of that though, is anyone actually like weeding all these beautiful like native plantings?
What native
Like,
plantings?
like where the trail specifically, like where Delaware and then whatever the name of that trail is, crosses. at
Oh, the
Delaware.
green line?
The green line.
Yeah, that little area.
That should be happening, yes. But
Okay.
the park should be maintaining everything along the Green Line, the Empire State Trail, and DPW is maintaining the bioswales on Broadway.
Okay,
Parks
and they
is
know how to
maintaining
weed.
the bioswales and all, and DPW or parks should be maintaining all the bioswales and bioretention areas in all of the park.
Awesome, okay.
There is a grounds, what do they call it, buildings and grounds committee that's focusing on that.
Perfect,
Building, not committee, buildings and grounds division.
great, okay. Okay, let's move ahead, sorry, I feel like all of this is just reporting out, but we are actually doing stuff. Okay, action on wetland preservation, I haven't done any. Pardon? Oh, release of helium balloons. I did not resend the letter to the environmental committees, but I did hear back from Shrestha, I think. So they just said, thank you, to look into it.
Do you want me to remove that from the agenda?
Well, until it gets passed, yes, I think it's okay. We can-
Is this a county law or a city law?
No, so what happened was, someone complained about the release of helium balloons in the city. And so we found out that there's actually a state law that would ban them, and so we're just trying to encourage the state legislature to pass it.
Oh,
There's
laws
a
not
Senate,
passed yet.
Senate Bill S2262.
And there's an assembly.
S2262.
Yeah, it's in the minutes. So anyway, we wrote the letter. Wait, Brianna wrote the letter, I sent the letter, and now we're gonna send it to the state, the committees in the Senate and Assembly, at the environmental committee, to say, we really like that law, could you move that one? And I could also bring it, I think I offered to take it to the Environmental Management Council and have those guys take it up. Okay, so an action on wetland preservation, I did sign up to go on a wetland identification through Hudsonia and the DEC at the end of May, and I got into it, so
And you had talked about protecting wetlands because they're not protected, so this helps figure out what you would identify for protection, how to do it.
Yeah, but this is a field trip, actually like going down.
Oh, cool.
plants.
Cool, where is it?
It's, the one I sent out for is at Queens, and, because there's one in Orange County and one in Albany, and I decided to go to Queens because of the date. So they said they were all filled up, but I will, I can forward the invitation, because they said there was wait list, and then they turned around and said I could go.
Great, great.
Lower surface stream management plan, I did write the letter to the county, based on a discussion from last week, and that went out on, the 12th or something, so, and that's all. That's all, I mean, I just got knowledge that they've got.
You mean the letter that promoting the Kingston Surface waterfront plan, or
Yeah, we wrote a letter.
looking at the
Yeah.
priorities?
Yeah, so we wrote a letter just saying what we thought was of most concern. It's an implementation plan. So I think I sent you guys that, but anyway, so this is just.
I think one question, Emily. I think it was project 32, Ashokan Stowaway Bluff stabilization. Did you drop that out? Because it's maybe too far out for us.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it was too,
I'll drop that out too.
it was too,
Yeah.
expensive, it was gonna be pretty expensive too. Here's the class on wetland identification, that's a handout. And, I brought the letter. I just never read it. Okay, and then, oh, here's the letter, it's so short. It's good, it's not too long. Okay. Budget request for 2025. So, we're thinking that we would like to have a sign and maybe for the Earth Fair. And then also, but also I'm gonna jump, a banner, something like that. That would be one thing for the budget, to have some kind of banner. And maybe this Clemens Mark could have one too, because we're also talking about maybe we could share a table at the Earth Fair, Clemens Mark and CAC.
Clemens Farm has 2 banners already.
They already got banners. Oh my God.
They've gotten budgets in the past, they bought banners with their budget.
Okay, so that's one thing.
Just make sure they're not plastic or vinyl,
They are vinyl.
because you can have a canvas one, that's what Sarah Mecklen's group did, the anti-plastic
Okay,
people.
so you can start investigating the price so we can put the budget in.
I think she
Sarah.
made it, she
Oh,
made it.
I can
Oh,
tell you,
yeah.
I can tell you the price.
I could easily do something, I mean, we could easily do something like that, that's all I'm saying. So everything is vinyl or plastic.
yeah. And then I just felt like we need some kind of activity to, once the seats get given away.
I like the spinning wheel
Yeah.
thing that they have next door to us. And then,
Yeah.
like, you get like a prize or something.
Yeah.
they had, like,
a
trivia.
good budget.
Who
They had a good
is,
budget, Accra. Yeah, and they gave out mugs and straws and metal straws and stuff like that. So, there was a roulette wheel or whatever, and then. Anyway, so I just think that right now, so at least a banner for the budget. Does anyone else have any other?
you could also have a quiz on environmental facts
Yeah.
and things as a way to get out information.
Yes, and we need to decide if we need some kind of something to give away, but not,
Oh, like a PDF.
yes, so something to give away, but not really wasteful, I guess.
Well,
So,
this seat seemed like that was a great idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that was a great
And
idea.
Stephen,
So I need to know a final number.
by,
I need to be presenting it before August 15th. So you
Okay.
need to.
for
Basically,
the July meeting? Or August?
ideally July, yes.
July meeting, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So anyway, keep thinking about what we would have in our budget request. Okay, so new business A, communication to local media and other outreach. Helen brought this up and she hasn't been here. And then Lynn is also interested in this, so the idea, I think, anyways, is to kind of let people know more about what we're doing. And, yeah,
So it
so,
was more specific.
yeah,
Because a reporter for the Kingston Wire came by the table for birthday. I used to work with Dan, so the idea was to do a column monthly. I haven't called the publisher yet, but I was gonna call them to find out, but I guess I want to talk about with everyone here, because I thought would be like a monthly kind of update. I asked, what is their subscription? She said 15,000 people, which, you know, that's all Kingston. And so the idea would be a kind of monthly update. I mean, they pay like $50. I don't do it for a service to the group. And anything that was CAC would mostly relate to the city, would be, of course, approved by everybody here. It would be my journalistic thing, it would be representative of initiatives that we're doing. Like, we're talking about tons of stuff here that I don't think anyone has any idea. A lot of it's very complicated, so it would kind of be just updates. And if anyone's interested, I could then call Alex. I mean, I'm happy to do it. And it would be, I'm thinking monthly. I mean, many years ago, I read a nature column for Dan Barton. That's not the idea. It's more like information related to different things that citizens and residents of Kingston who relate to or should know about. Just seemed like an easy way to get stuff out. I also feel like, you know, we need to do more than just internet stuff, but this would just be something easy. I call him. If he said yes, what I would do is, like, I've taken notes. I was thinking if I did one the next month, it would be some interviewing Julie about Earth Day, you know, just how many people came, what was happened, and then pick a couple of these initiatives that we've talked about. And a lot of it would be interviews, you know, it'd just be me reporting on basic stuff. And it would be very limited because I don't want to do, you know, like, I'm thinking 700 words or something, you know?
Julie,
Maybe-
since we're a commission of the city, would that have to be like processed through the city every month and, or, I mean,
Could it just be
we're not,
approved here?
this wouldn't be us as private citizens just writing an op-ed, right? This would be an official city communication is what it sounds like you're.
It would, so for instance, for a Facebook, like for instance, Climate Smart has Facebook, and the city has to have an administrator, a separate city staff administrator on it to make sure that Climate Smart is doing the right thing. I don't know, I would have to check.
Another idea would be, I just do it and I would just have everyone here approve it.
No, but I mean, even, that's,
Yeah.
I think that like,
I
I
mean,
think it sounds like a good idea, is it, and even if, I don't think we, since we're a city commission, it doesn't matter whether we individually approve, like, some kind of city
Right.
government process would still have to be involved, but it might be pretty easy, it's just like.
Yeah, I'll find
I mean,
out.
You get a draft to them,
Yeah, it might
days in
just be,
advance.
Summer Smith, our communication director, might just wanna look at it first
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
if it was something simple, you know, that would be fine. I mean,
yeah, it's a good way to say, even start talking
It
about.
would be like an
pollinators or the anti-idling. And so, you know, something like that, just like.
yeah, I mean, it could be like, we could talk about the anti-idling law, and then we could talk about the benefits of electric
Right,
machinery, you know, kind of recommendations.
yeah,
And then we could talk about some initiative we're doing, like if the legislation passes for this tax, we can
Right.
report on that.
Yeah,
You know,
that would
thinking
be-
like.
We could say
three
things like, we've sent 2 letters to such and such office and haven't received a response yet.
I don't think that would pass muster, but I mean, I was thinking it loosely, mostly information.
but
And
this is a way to get information out out, especially about things that we may, we may be testing the waters on, or,
It would not be,
there's so much information on pollinators and.
right,
native
and
plants.
just information, like the advantages of doing native plants. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a million things you could write about, but it would all be nothing controversial, unless it's something that we chose to publicize. And I'm thinking like maybe I would just do an outline, like send it to everyone here and say, here are the 3 items I was thinking of writing about. Everyone says, fine, then I write it, and you guys
that
approve it.
that sounds great.
And then the city approves it.
Well, I mean, I send it here, I have to figure out
So
the
what
lines.
is this is weekly, though, but you would do it.
Oh, monthly, I'm not gonna do it weekly. It's too
No,
much
no,
work.
no.
So I
What's
guess,
their deadline?
well, I have to call
Oh, you
him.
don't know.
I haven't
Okay.
called him, but
Alright, so yeah,
I will
think
call.
you should
So
look
let me
into
call
it,
him,
and-
so we're already interested
And
in doing
then
this.
Julie's gonna look and talk to someone.
Right, so I will
Okay.
call him and I will let him know what he says, and he says, yeah, great, then you take it from there.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much. Okay, so we wanted to talk about the housing proposal in Kingston Business Park. So right before our last meeting, this was in the newspaper, but it went over my head. And I didn't know how to find it anyway. So the mayor is suggesting that, first of all, Kingston Business Park is otherwise known as off of Delaware, up high. If you go down Delaware and Kennedy's on this side and Hasbrook's on this side, there's a road and it goes up to the top of a hill. And that's a business park that was put in, I don't know.
About 20 years ago.
The 90s.
in
I
the
wrote about
90s.
it when they did it.
Yeah, and so they're thinking of possibly putting in housing, that's all I know, so.
They never built it out completely,
No.
and it's actually very, people were very upset when they put it in because,
Yeah,
some of you guys know, it's Delaware Forest.
yeah,
Um,
there was controversy, but anyway, it isn't completely built out.
It's also, and Kevin and I talked about this, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's very isolated.
Yeah,
Steve,
that's.
who was the guy who was at Economic Development? Steve
Steve,
Finkel.
Finkel, he told me it was the most expensive road Kingston ever built. Because it lasts like a mile, half a
Well,
mile.
they had to, put in, they had to go through rock.
But I guess it's owned by Kingston, right? So it's city-owned land.
Anyway, it's a really good place to take your kid to learn how to drive. So if you need to practice your parking or something.
And does it, I was wondering, does it abut Sojourner Truth, or that's beyond the power wires?
It does abut Sojourner Truth at the north. And it abuts Hutton Brickyards on the.
Right, so the top is the Bruderhof plant, right? That's Bruderhof.
Yep,
And then the power lines are that white line.
yes.
And so, oh wow, it goes beyond the power
Can
lines.
everyone see?
And yeah, and it's not called Huck, but to the left of the large building, it's not Huck anymore.
Almet.
There are amazing white oaks in there. It's really interesting land.
Yeah, I think.
In there, it must have been a
Here
estate one time.
is where the major archaeological site is.
Oh, is that the model, the megalith?
Right
Is that
there.
actually,
It's there, it's still there, hiding the poison ivy. Mhm.
Where, so
But I don't think the business
Where-
park knows about it.
what is the proposal?
Take a look at this. This is Amanda Brooks' map,
Who's Amanda Brooks?
the coordinator, I don't know if she's executive director of the business park.
No, Amanda Bruck is the community development director for the city of Kingston, and she's also. the
She
head of the
was
Kingston
this.
Local Development Corporation.
Yeah, well, this would be in connection with the local development corporation. Over here is where the Archeo is. You can see a nice parking lot scheduled for that.
right, so,
Oh, well, they'll learn about that.
oh wait, so wait a
Yeah,
minute, who is
Yeah.
planning to do that parking lot? For what?
They were.
But I mean, there's so much
Local
parking up there, why do they need more parking?
Well, 1 or 2 building sites plus more parking.
So in other words, they're planning to develop it out, to do more development? Because I mean, there's a huge parking lot.
Well, they haven't had any customers. for it,
Right,
and they're
right, but I mean,
tenants. Yeah,
why would
so-
you,
So are we talking about this or are we talking about housing?
Well, yeah, that's the proposal, is affordable housing.
Can I see that again? Just want to look at that now.
Yeah, but this is sort of irrelevant. at
So
this
the
point.
buildings are,
Except with respect to the secret filings that they did back in the 90s.
oh, so this is old. Is this
This
current?
is current, this is their website, this is what.
But who is gonna occupy the buildings? I mean, they don't have any
They
clients.
have an RFP that closed last week for affordable housing, an architect to look at designing where you could put affordable housing, review all the secret filings, all of that.
They're due on the 17th.
17? Oh, I thought it was the 7th.
So affordable housing,
Yeah, okay, then I'm wrong with the
Proposal.
date.
and that RFP already went out and it's due May 17th.
Yeah,
Yes.
now,
So they would look
They're
at,
not looking for
this is the RFP map, is that the one you have to,
Yeah.
the same thing?
they're not looking for a proposal for housing. They're looking for a firm to do an analysis
Yeah.
of the
Feasibility.
feasibility of whether housing can go there.
But that would be the plan for where the buildings would
Yeah.
be.
Well,
no,
No.
not at all.
not necessarily,
Something
really depends on the feasibility study, but, without the feasibility study, we know there's a problem over here.
Because of the,
Yeah, we know you could get killed over here.
why, maybe,
That there's sheer drop
oh,
offs.
cliffs.
You know, one of my
Cliffs.
neighbors fell down there when he was a kid and broke a bunch of bones. And lucky he lived to tell the story. Barbara and I have been up there hiking at different points, and it was like you're walking along and all this, it seems like a nice little path, and all of a sudden, the path just disappears.
I
And,
something.
and you're like, oh, there's the business park, and how do we get out of here?
It's like somebody was killed off Hasbrook Hill, but that's separate.
That's a
Yeah, that's a different thing, yeah. So this area could be done, a little bit of this area could be done. Third Avenue, which, at one point recently, Kingston Land Trust was interested in, we were talking to the land bank, because they were gonna get this property, and they had no use for it, but that kind of fell through because of this plan.
Is that, so if it was over
So
there by
that
Third
could-
Avenue, that's a road, it would connect to a road.
Yeah,
There's
that would
something
connect
like
to a
road
road.
going on.
Yeah,
So that would make sense,
that
go
would
by the
connect to
road.
an actual road, yeah, so
It should definitely be by the
there
road.
are possibilities to do something.
Right,
yeah.
right, but
And-
So right now, there's an RFP out for someone to look into this, so they're gonna put proposals in. It's due May
Right.
17th.
and then it'll be a
And then-
consultant to,
And they would have to review all of this information that's already been aware of, and so we would be able to follow along with this at that time.
Yes, they would need to do site design analysis, so they would need to survey the physical development options based on the topographic features and space. They would have to do a full range of residential massing options for the site. Development program analysis, both mixed use and fully residential programs on space, analysis of the optional public-private amenities, including parks, gathering and event spaces, community services, and neighborhood serving commercial spaces. They would need to do site planning, preliminary design suggestions, and then budget requirements.
and so right
But
now
they
it's
put-
completely open where they would develop, like there's no, the Kingston.
Yeah.
Well, there's that site map.
Right, but I mean, they're not saying the Kingston Local Development Corporation aren't saying this is the part we want to develop, they're just, it's all open.
So Julie, do they also look at the effect on schools?
It says analysis of optional public/public-private/private amenities such as but not limited to parks, interior/exterior gathering or event spaces, community services, which could be, schools could be considered community service, I guess, and neighborhood serving commercial spaces. Does not say the word schools.
There's some really good
Why-
bars down the street.
But I mean, you know, it's totally isolated. If you're affordable housing, you're gonna take cars in and out of there.
I know.
Well,
It's not
they probably put the UCAT.
They would put the bus up.
But I mean,
Yes, it would
it's just
be enough.
really far away.
So,
So the
So anyway, so
timeline
moving
is,
part
the
of
due date for
feasibility study.
proposals is May
Yeah, I'm
seventeenth
sorry.
at 2. The evaluation committee will review proposals in May/June. The contract will be signed, estimated in June or July.
Okay, good. So we can just follow that. And make sure that they're aware of.
I spoke to the mayor about this on Saturday, and I reminded him that I've been involved through the Kingston Land Trust with the Hudson Valley Affordable Housing and Land Conservation group, Alliance, I think it's called, which includes a lot of the habitat groups, RUPCO, Kingston Land Trust, several other land trusts, Orange County Land Trust, Hudson Islands, Dutchess, Columbia. So we have a bunch of land conservancy people, and this might be something that we could consult with them on, or the city, using the Hudsonia biodiversity principles and the HREP habitat trainings to try to avoid the sensitive areas and see what we can do with affordable housing, if it's possible.
Yeah. I guess one of the things we could.
That would be
do
great
in the
input.
meantime is
You know,
one of
the other
things
thing
we
to
could
the
do in
site
the
is
meantime
here,
is
this
look
is
at
the
our
10
own
acres that the
itinerary.
city owns. That's where, there's a lot of trail connectivity in there.
Is that where the mushrooms are?
We
There's a
don't want
critical-
to tell people where the money
But that's a
It's a
weird piece
food
of
desert
land.
except for that, yes.
But why, that land is totally isolated, why would the city own land there? That's kind of strange.
It was a foreclosure, I think Joyva Brick Company owned it when they
Oh,
purchased,
weird.
they purchased it when they purchased Hutton Brickyard from George Hutton back in the 60s, and then they purchased this, I think, sometime in the 70s, and then it just folded and it went for the back taxes to the city.
Okay, that sounds like a great idea too. So I think, I mean, we could even look at our own natural resources and or another information too. Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to destroy any habitat.
No, I didn't get that impression that,
Yeah,
but.
okay, so it's
yeah.
just a good thing for all of us to know about.
But I think there's a certain amount of education that needs to be done with it.
Mhm.
That some of the, like the secret files I've looked at are a little vague. And well, at least one of the spots, the Archaeo sites, not even sure it's there anymore. After they built the Bruderhof out,
Oh,
don't know. I remembered it, but it wasn't listed in the secret filing, so it was actually a small brick kiln. Somebody was burning.
how did
wood.
you know that thing?
We just stumbled across it.
Oh, before they built the River Home.
Yeah, a long time, 20
Right.
years ago or something, yeah. I don't know if it's there anymore, but the megalith is, so.
Right.
so-
Just was such a strange place for a business park.
Is
It should
there,
be near the thruway, near roads.
is there, okay, so is, anything that anyone wants to discuss that's new and interesting?
I want to mention, sorry, I want to mention something.
Yeah.
There is a parking lot for the Institute of Family Health on Pine Street, a large parking lot. I looked at the zoning, the form-based code. This does not conform to the zoning. There's no screening. It's just this huge thing of asphalt. It's a stormwater nightmare. And I read in the zoning, they're supposed to have screening along the
Yeah, but
street.
it was put in before the plan.
Right, it was put on just a few months ago. Anyway, I just want to mention it because it's on Pine between, it just seems like, I just wonder how it got approved because it's just all asphalt. There's like no plantings, supposed to be 10% landscaping. And I just thought, at least they should do screening along Pine Street. There's the old fence from the cemetery. You know where I'm talking about, Julie.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really is like, this is all asphalt, like,
Oh, the medical center,
yes, when they built the new building.
yeah.
And I
That
just
might have been
noticed it.
grandfathered in because it was already there.
But they didn't have all the asphalt there. They put in all this new asphalt when they opened it. And I'm just saying, it does not conform at all to a large parking lot, what we want. There's no plantings, I mean, there's minimal plantings along that road
It might
there.
have been under the old zoning.
I know, but shouldn't they honor the zoning that we have? I mean,
No,
No, that's not
No,
works.
no. If you had looked at the planning agendas during the Dover Code process, they were loaded up with people trying to get under the old code.
that's too bad.
yeah, I think the best thing for that is just talking to the director over there and asking him what they can do because.
But my question, I guess, if something like that happens, like a facility, commercial facility with large parking, is that something that would come to the CAC now or not? I mean, who would approve that, the planning board?
Well, we look at it, like, an example would be, what's the infirmary called now?
Oh,
The Rupco
could they have?
On
it was
Flatbush.
Paul's house. That's
on
not
East
what they're
Chester
calling
Street,
it.
on East Chester Street and Flatbush.
Landmark Place.
Landmark
Oh,
Place.
Landmark Place, right.
Yeah, there's a couple things we do. We look at it and we also kind of go through, we have a checklist about like green infrastructure and, you know,
Parking grounds.
yeah, that
So,
kind of stuff. And then we send it in to the planning department, because right now we are just totally, like, they can listen to us or not.
right,
And so that's the kind of thing that we do. So we've done it for Landmark.
so we would have to go to the planning board meetings to find out about these
Well, he
projects.
goes to. the-
Oh, so Kevin, you cover, you make sure that,
I'm usually on Zoom, you know, rarely.
right,
Yeah.
all right, but you
He pays attention and then he comes to us. So like a good example would be, like we've been watching this Kingston Meadow, what is it called? Kingston Meadows,
Meadows, yeah.
which is along the Esopus, but we've also watched, is anything, whatever happened with the one on the Strand across from Lots River?
The
Maritime
Irish,
Museum.
the Irish culture? Oh, the other one.
the other, that seemed to go away. The one that,
I'm
So.
not sure.
in the big
It
lot
was sold at
across
some
from the
point.
Maritime Museum,
Mhm.
that just
Yeah.
seemed to go away. I don't know what
It
happened.
was sold. I
But we
property was sold.
commented and we actually got him to raise the building like a foot, not 6 feet, but, so, but that's the kind of stuff we do, and he follows it.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you look here, number C, planning board liaison is Kevin. So we're really relying on Kevin to bring things up,
Okay.
like the, well, that's why we're watching the Boulevard,
Got it.
and,
So if this thing was being built now, the Institute of Health, they had a large parking, we'd know about it. We could have weighed in.
yeah, but it just seemed like, I mean, the building was already there.
Right, but I mean, it's just egregious that it's such a
Yeah.
large parking lot, it doesn't comply at all with any of the things that are.
Yeah,
And if I were living across the street, I would have raised bloody hell because there's
Yeah.
no screening at all.
yeah, and you know, that happens a lot, like and that's a planning board thing, like, there's, a good example is like, they ask for screening, and then they put the screening up, but then someone comes and cuts it down. And there's not a lot, like, 5 years later, they cut it down, and sometimes this is because people don't feel safe if they have this tall bushes, so they cut them down to this tall. You can look at like the bank on, East Chester Street, right behind Walgreens, that had been up.
Rondell Bay Savings Bank. you mean?
Yeah, and, or there's another building that is on, I guess Pine and Maiden Lane. And that used to be a house, and they were supposed to put in big huge bushes, and they just chopped them down. Because people wanna feel like they can have visibility.
Well,
So-
from a
so-
stormwater perspective, this thing is not good, that's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. There's, all that water goes right off, there's nowhere for it to absorb. So despite,
Yeah.
despite the aesthetics, I was shocked when I
It's
saw,
very-
oh, this asphalt.
Yeah,
No permeable pavement, it really looks bad for stormwater. For trying to reduce our stormwater, this thing is not helping.
well,
That's
is
all.
it going into the stormwater, or is it just going?
Well, I don't know where, I mean, when a heavy rain, I should go over there and see where it goes, but it's going somewhere. So I just want to mention that because
Well,
it's
there
quite
are
large.
separated sewers over there, so, I
You
mean,
mean,
the library has separated sewers, so,
you mean they're not combined, they don't go into the sewage system, they're,
yeah, there might be, I'm just saying, the library is unseparated.
We're also not convinced all the bodies were removed.
oh, I know, that's,
Separate discussion.
yes,
Yeah.
well,
Other things.
Rob Sweeney, Kevin, Rob Sweeney has 23 of the bodies.
Oh my
They
God,
went to Old
this is
Dutch.
being recorded,
Yeah,
so, I'm sorry.
They went to Old Dutch.
yeah. But
Okay,
But if you start digging, yeah, you may have problems.
Okay, I'm gonna go on to communications because it's getting late. Communications, there were no communications, so I'm gonna just make some announcements. So Midtown, there's a project going on now, you can see it on Engage Kingston and so on, but they're applying for funding, they got funding to look at kind of it's a brownfields redevelopment funding from the Department of State. And so there's a lot of engagement, public engagement going on right now. And I don't want to even say what Midtown is because I don't know the definition of Midtown. But this week, tomorrow, there's going to be a meeting at 6:30.
I'm going to it.
And Amanda Laval, someone from Weston and Sampson, who's an engineer, Kristen Wilson from Ulster County Planning, and Kira Thompson from DEC, Environmental Remediation, are all going to talk about this. So they're going to talk about basically, some of it is about the contamination in that area. There's not a huge amount of contamination, but anyway, it's that's what's happening. So if you're interested, tomorrow, if you live in Midtown.
Well, I'm definitely going, so I can definitely report back if anyone's interested.
That's a BOA, isn't it?
A BOA.
That's a
Brownfield
brownfield opportunity area, which doubles as a secret review.
And
That's always important to remember. Some people. think
Why is
it's-
that important? I'm just trying to think that through.
Why is that important? Because some people think, oh, now we have the plan, now the plan has to go through secret. No.
it doesn't have to. That's good.
Yeah.
So then I also, so that was that. The New York State Climate Impact Assessment there's a webinar for municipal officials on June 4th for people to find out what to expect from climate change. So it's the latest climate impact assessment and what's going to happen with our ecosystem, rivers, water resources, and so on. So that is just a regular webinar, 1 to 2:30. Oh, and it's very interesting because Amanda Stevens from NYSERDA is going to speak, and then Neil Bettis, who used to be the supervisor at New Falls and is now the climate resilience program coordinator. And he is speaking, so that's, I'm sending that around, Kevin, if you need anything, that's there. And I think there's, oh, yes. I met a very nice man, Brendan McNamara, from the Federated Conservationists of Westchester County, he by the Earth Chair. And he's involved with NISAC in some way, but tonight, we're missing it, is a Westchester Climate Justice Summit. And so maybe there will be a recording of that. But it was for climate justice, but it was for Westchester County, but NISAC was putting it on.
Yes, I'm sure there'll be a
There
recording
will
and I
be
will
a
share.
recording, so we can look at that. So he was very nice. And apparently Hastings on Hudson recently passed restrictions on gas-powered vehicles.
Who did?
Hastings on Hudson,
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, and he forwarded to someone named Haven.
Even Colby. She's
Haven
on
Colby.
the NISAC board.
Okay, and she's at Hastings,
Yes.
okay. So that's another thing we can.
Yeah.
Hastings on Hudson.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and, I was in Washington DC last week, and the entire city, they banned them for everything. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
yeah, it is, it's great. Okay. Okay, so then the rest, everything else, we can cover under the announcements. So I'm gonna find the minutes again, okay. Earth Fair, anything else to follow up? We kind of covered it, but we were thinking about combining it with Climate Smart so that we can
I think that's cool.
share on the, but maybe not, we could think about it next year.
I mean, why not?
I think
Sounds like a
so.
good idea to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and unless we have our own message, like on something that doesn't really, but it would help with, just tabling. And there was really, Kevin was very involved with the refrigerators, the refrigerant take
No,
back.
it was actually Anthony that did the heavy lifting.
70 units,
Fantastic.
yeah.
People brought their refrigerators.
and
Yeah, I didn't teach him.
46 air conditioners, 9 dehumidifiers, and 9 fridges.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
The first year we collected 6 total. Last year we collected 18. This year it was 67.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Way more than we expected. We were
Wow.
not prepared.
And people have to lug it in their cars and
Yes, they do.
so there is progress.
yeah.
Things can get better.
But they would
Okay.
look at.
That'd be a good topic.
Came early.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's what
Most of it
that's
came
what I can say,
first.
you know, in
First
my,
hour.
it's an
Hour.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
which
pretty
is
soon
enough.
after-
Don't bring something that we've
Not
been
getting
doing
all
all
the
week.
Yeah.
So, wait, 1 second, so with the,
No.
so you guys do want me to call Kingston Wire, right?
Mhm.
I'm not gonna wait to hear, and then I'll let you know, okay?
I just want to make sure.
But it was this coolest recycling drive, which is happening
Until Saturday.
Saturday.
And
all over
Tuesday,
the-
there's going to be
Hudson.
a big press conference and the evacuation of all the refrigerants is happening on Tuesday at the Nichols transfer station.
Oh, wow.
And so where are they from? I mean, so they separate them, right? All the metals.
They're going
Cover
to
the
first
personal
safely
care to take
evacuate
the
all the
refrigerants.
refrigerants, and then they will digest them into different pieces.
And who does this? The also recovery people have the,
No.
Nope,
oh, somebody comes in.
there's people, yeah, it's, there's a company called Hudson Tech, and I think they're also working with BOCES students.
Right, so the training, sounds great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it- But maybe there was just more PR because of that, I don't know.
Certainly,
The
yes,
Coolest.
certainly.
Okay, and I think everyone enjoyed the fair.
Is there any-
I could not find a place to park, it was so crowded.
Yeah, that's
Like
very
they were
common.
way up on the hill, it was
That's
like,
very common.
and I thought it was great, the music, you know, that really became an event. You know, with great entertainment. So anyway,
Boat rides and.
I'm like, this is like 4th of July, when I couldn't find a place to park, I'm like, where am I gonna park?
And
Huge
thank,
crowds.
and thank you for everyone, well, Lynn and I tabled and Helen and Brianna.
And Brianna had like the most incredible pineapple I've ever seen in my life.
She got a great.
Oh, you got one of those pineapple drinks? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I hope you composted it.
In my compost.
Okay.
Okay, complete streets. Helen usually goes to this, but she hasn't been going, but one of the things we've been following is there was a big, so I want to make sure you know that there's this whole site called Engage Kingston. And we kind of look through it and see if there's anything that we want to put input in or be on an advisory committee and stuff. So there was this whole, kind of fix up Foxhall Avenue. And we were trying, anyway, so that's one thing that we've been following, but it turns out that Schumer was here this recently, May 6th. And they are going to try to get some money to fix up Foxhall where the lace factory is.
Lace mill,
The lace mill.
lace
so
curtain.
they-
Oh, by the railroad crossing?
You mean that
Yeah,
weird
there's not called
intersection?
like if you're on Cornell.
Yeah.
And you
it's
go
possible.
like that, they're gonna make it so you can't do that. So this is, so I'm not sure if they have all the money for that, or anything, but that's, I wanted to bring it up because we've been following this. So this is how.
The lace mill, right?
That's the lace mill, so they- instead of being able to go like that.
I think there's a sign that says you can't do that, but
Mhm.
people still do it. There's a sign that definitely says
Yeah, that whole intersection's gonna get redone.
yeah, and
But
it's supposed
it's
to,
tricky with the rail tracks though.
no, because all the road's just gonna go like this and then you have to come around.
Get rid of that, in other words. No, you'll have this cross.
You still have to cross.
This will connect with that.
Yeah, yeah, can you pass that on?
yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to bring that up. I don't know what else. And the other thing with complete streets is the city. I can't figure out if this complete streets or this was Steve or it was something else, but they're doing this whole safe cities thing.
Let's say cities thing.
You know, to make it more, everything more pedestrian friendly.
Well, they're digging up all these corners in my neighborhood.
That's.
Right.
Is that part of
that's,
it?
No, that's handicap
Oh,
ramps. No, it just was in the paper, it's on the front, I'm sorry, I'm too tired, I can't think about what they're doing, but it was, anyway, so we're just trying to make it so there's no traffic fatalities with pedestrians, bicyclists.
oh, yeah. What's happening along the speed limit? That you-
And that is what.
Because that's the
part of that
key.
would be lowering the.
But I mean, that's the key, 20, you know,
Anyway, they're starting to work on that, so.
but that's up to DOT, right? State.
State has to allow us to lower the speed limit, and then the council has to adopt legislation lowering the speed.
Because I remember Rennie was talking about this a couple of years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been
so it's
discussion for a
moving,
long
yeah.
time.
It's
But I-
moving forward.
Okay.
Kevin, do you have anything more on the planning board?
There really isn't. There was a small thing on Greenville, which I had to check out because I recognized the owner. And I know that they had one side property near Lawrence Park, but it's actually on Greenville. And it's a lot line adjustment, so I don't think this is a big to-do.
Okay,
You know,
Great,
so
thank
we can go, and the Pettit wasn't there, that's how you could mention it before. So, and I didn't see anything further that looked like a major development that would affect, so we want time.
okay, so public safety, I go and I have 5 minutes and then I leave. I don't wait and see what they're talking about. But I just gonna update them, remind them about, the things like, leaf blowers and about the community preservation fund. So I don't have anything, more than that. Climate smart,
Climate smart. Well, we did a lot of, at the last meeting, a lot of Earth Fair discussion. And followed by more Earth Fair discussion, refrigerants, which I think we've covered a little bit here. And Roberto did not show up with his, the car,
Hydrogen.
the green hydrogen car. This is a project, one of our commissioners there is very interested in green hydrogen as an alternative to lithium mining for, batteries. Yeah, so, to be continued with Roberto, he said he's gonna come over to my house next Wednesday and do a trial run before the meeting. Try it on the dining room table, see if it works.
That works.
And, yeah, so. And, if you need to know more about the climate commission, we do have a Facebook site that Melissa has. And, the Repair Cafe.
yeah, that was,
Yeah, that's another biggie for our board over there. What was the date?
that was May
I
4th.
thought there was gonna be another one.
It was May 4th.
Okay, so we'll get an update from Melissa as to when the next one is and how the last one went. The rest of what we discussed there, some of it overlaps to here, like the city projects that Julie is overseeing. That'll be a similar presentation. We also do city fleet, which we don't cover here. Because typically what we're doing at Climate Smart are implementation of the climate action plan, as opposed to the policy initiatives and stuff we're doing here.
Is the city fleet all electric now?
No, not all.
No.
But some, right?
Most of the sedans are.
Okay.
most of what's considered light duty are, and none of the heavy duty are.
And you can, those aren't electric, right?
The UCAT buses.
Oh, they are?
There is
One is.
one.
Okay.
Kevin, I know, and this little handout that I made, it's actually climate smart too, so.
Yeah.
But we didn't put your name on it. I mean, we didn't put climate smart on it.
Oh,
But, you know, make sure they know it, take it.
oh, it's a CAC on it. Hey,
I know, it only says CAC, because we did it.
But climate smart, is that like a committee
No,
or?
it's a commission, city
It's
commission.
a commission, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to get straight
They're,
about all these
yeah,
things.
so the other, and just,
So they're advisory, like CAC.
Mhm.
but they are supposed to be helping to implement the climate action plan, and you know, one of the things is refrigerants are much more green, it's a much more potent greenhouse gas than CO2, for instance, so that's how, so they've been studying refrigerants for a long time, and this is, and having take that for license is part of that, there's lots more.
And we do climate initiatives to get points from climate program.
State, you mean state program?
Yeah.
And then the points
Then we
mean you
become-
qualify for grants?
Some point will become a gold.
Yeah, to go,
Yeah, because I read we're silver, put in my letter, because I found that somewhere.
yeah.
Silver is the highest currently available.
And silver just means that you've implemented some policies,
Yeah, but silver's
Quite a
better
few
than bronze,
policies.
most people are.
sorry,
Quite a few.
not a lot,
Yeah,
okay.
it's not, yeah.
I mean, most towns are bronze. And
Or just certified.
or just, yeah. So silver is pretty cool, and then no one's got gold.
Gold doesn't exist.
Oh, gold doesn't exist. So we're
Well,
the-
we may make it exist.
We're gonna make it, we're gonna make it just for us.
But anyway, also, I go to the Environmental Management Council, and I will talk about that in a minute, but many of the municipalities here, their CAC does all the climate smart stuff,
Okay,
but we don't. Because we're big enough to have two things, but it was, climate smart was spawned from the CAC.
so we have a close
Yeah.
relationship with them.
It was
Joint
joint easier, but also like,
We've
it
had-
used to be a CAC, and they worked on it, and then it was born.
Became its own.
It was born from us.
And there was cross membership at some point, but I think the only cross members left, I think, are Julie and me. But they're, you know, well, Betta, who used to be on our board, is still over there, and, you know,
All right, so nice that,
and Emily's over here.
So the New York State Association of Conservation Commission's annual conference on the environment will be September 18th, 19th, and 20th in Tug Hill Plateau in Boonville. We had a conference planning meeting the other day. They're finalizing the schedule. They hope to make the registration live. They want to this week. It's probably going to be the beginning of June, I would guess. It's going to be virtual the first day, which is Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday are going to be field trips in the Tug Hill Plateau. So if you can't make it there, you can still attend virtually for the first day. And it will be, conference presentations and meetings throughout the day on Wednesday. So as more details unfold, I will let folks know. And it seems as though Ulster County has committed to hosting the conference next year. So 2025. Yep, and representatives from Ulster County Environmental Management Council attended the last planning meeting. Helps me understand that they're solidifying their commitment to it.
oh, I thought they were just seeing what it was really like.
Well,
before
we'll
they
see.
made it this.
Have you guys gone in the past to this, or Julie has? I mean, who goes to these things?
I've gone to everyone since I was 16.
Yeah,
And so do you recommend it? I mean, is it like something,
I would say, once the conference schedule comes out, you should look at the different sessions and
Uh-huh.
see if it feels valuable to you, and then decide based on.
right, because we have a camp that's near the area. That's what I'm asking.
yeah,
And Tug Hill, I used to live in Utica, so I know Tug Hill, I know Boonville.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah, once the,
Not most New Yorkers do.
most New Yorkers do not. Yeah, so once the conference schedule comes out, I would look at it and then you can decide. But that might be something else you want to think about putting in your budget, is attendance at the conference or conferences.
Oh, you can do that, we can do that?
Oh,
Oh,
conference attend, and meeting attendance.
Conference
attendance part of the work.
What's this?
Meaning that, what does that mean? Like, we
well,
would,
when you said, would they pay for us to go?
that's something that we might get paid for.
Yes, yes. I don't even know how much money it is.
They're still establishing that, but it looks like it's going to be a sliding scale.
Okay, great, that's really exciting. So I went to the Ulster County Environmental Management Council, and the thing is, they meet now over at SUNY Ulster, because I go to talk to public safety, and they start at 6:30, and so does Ulster County Environmental Management Council. But there's always lots of stuff that the members of the EMC are doing that's interesting to find out about. And I guess Julie has put my name in, you have to be appointed by the legislature to go.
You have to be first, there needs to be a resolution by the city common council. So that has been submitted by the mayor, and that will be voted on tomorrow night at Laws and Rules. And then it would go to the common council in June, and if they approve you, then that will go to the legislature in May then.
Well, we'll see what,
And your term would be, the term that you would be taking would be filling out the rest of Ted's term.
okay, thank you. So I did go to that meeting and I did find out, if you want to know when the household hazardous wastes are for Kingston, for Opera at the town of Ulster, it's June 23rd and October 20th. If you want to do your own personal household hazardous waste, and there is a new person at Opera, Mark Ryder, and so it'd be interesting to see how that goes. And apparently they bought 2 electric trucks. And then there's a lot of interest on Rapid, which is released. It is about relieving impediments to connecting to the grid. I don't know anything about this, but it's a state initiative, which is interesting because people have spent their life fighting against power lines, and it sounds like this would be the opposite, allowing power lines.
But isn't that for like really rural areas? Where they want to connect with the grid, that would only be an issue, right, in a very rural area.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I also wanted to say, so they always talk a lot about, the county has been very instrumental in putting in EV charging stations very early on. And so they're also trying to update their fleet for the county. And they actually use the word, they have an aging network of electric charging stations. And I just thought that was so amazing that we could have an aging network. They're just not up to snuff anymore, So, but they are talking about putting many, many more charging stations in because the county is going to also go, by 2025, they're supposed to have all lightweight and light duty and passenger cars will be fully EV. And that's, I think, around 250 vehicles, I'm not sure, but just for an instance, like the Restorative Justice Center has always had like 2 chargers, but now they'll have 12
Can I
places.
interrupt 1 second? I was wondering about that. As a city, a lot of us don't have driveways. So is it possible, or is any city doing this, where you could actually have it, if you're having your own home, you have an apartment, because we have a lot of apartments, renters, there would be a way to have a charging thing on the curb that you could, because that's what we need in Kingston. I mean, I'm just thinking, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just thought I'd
Yeah.
ask while I'm thinking of it.
There are
So-
private firms that do that. They've met with Climate Smart, they've met with me.
Is that allowed?
It gets put on the side of the road, and It ties into, under the sidewalk, to the power of the closest building. But that means that anyone can drive up and use it, there's no reserved spots, it's
You
not
can't
yours.
lock it or something, but that's allowed. The city allows that.
It would have, there would be a lot of hoops that they would need to jump through. I can't say if we would allow it or not.
But it's feasible, something
Would
that's
be
being looked
feasible,
at.
yes.
Okay, because that's a big issue in a city like Kingston. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. I understand you couldn't have a big extension cord. I mean, you could have an extension cord.
But it crosses the sidewalk, but it go over the sidewalk, that would be that.
Yeah. My daughter doesn't live in America, but they put a cord out the window.
Yeah.
So, anyway, and also the county is working on a community climate action plan. That is, by community, it means that they're not just looking at county buildings. It's more like countywide. They also have a natural resources inventory. So they basically have all this amazing data online. And I believe they have all of our stuff too. So it's a way to go and look online to see our natural resources.
Is that on the county side or that they, their own
On the
side?
county
side.
Yeah, and they also just formed a Department of Parks and Public Spaces under the county DPW. That's interesting. And I think that was all for them. So then I'm just gonna go to I did want to say that Saugerties announced that the rink in, the ice rink in Saugerties has an electric Zamboni now. It's really cool.
Has an electric what?
Zamboni, the Zamboni, you don't know what the Zamboni
Yes,
is.
what is it?
Everyone knows what a Zamboni
What's a
is.
Zamboni?
It's
the
the
one
machine
yeah,
that
we
cleans the ice.
redo the ice.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I
So-
never heard that before.
It's okay. That's okay, you don't need to know what a Zamboni is. Saugerties planted a pollinator member. Anyway, pollinator garden. Okay, so then I went to the tree commission today because they were at 5 and I thought I'll just come over. I don't have anything. Anyway, so they're very good about, most of they talk about taking down trees, but when you take down a tree, you do have to put one back in. So that's really important.
More than one,
And-
according to zoning. You have to
And-
equivalent,
Yes.
you know what I'm
And
talking about.
then, yes, and then,
But did they talk about, the value of healthy mature trees? Trying to preserve them, because that's in our tree inventory.
they totally,
I mean, that should be
they
the priority.
totally, yes, they do, because what they do is they look at it very carefully and decide, whether it can be saved or not.
Because we've lost a lot of
Yeah.
mature trees where I live, healthy ones.
Yeah, and that whole thing that's an issue that they didn't they talked about it after the meeting. So they did apply for a large, they had $50,000 to plant trees and they have a bunch of them picked out, but they didn't get a grant that was gonna be $500,000, so they're gonna redo that application.
But wait a second, sorry.
Go ahead.
I read in the paper, Dilly Freeman, that Kingston planned to plant 20 trees, street trees in this year, in addition to ones at Deep Stadium and at the post office park, which is not that many trees. So do they have
Right.
money to plant more trees? That was in the Freeman. They said that last year, 38 trees were planted, I'm talking about street trees. But it sounds like if they have $50,000, they can plant a lot more than 20 trees.
They cost a lot of money.
50,000 for 20 trees?
There's like no,
I can't
but I
believe
don't
that.
wanna, I'm not gonna go into that because I don't know.
But they didn't
enough
have a
about
number, they didn't say,
it. They are trying to, but the mostly important thing is that our urban foresters should be starting soon. They've already interviewed people and we will have an urban forester coming on. Julie, do you know anything more about that?
They said they already did interviews.
think they did, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they had applications.
They have
They have
applications. I don't
applications.
think they've done it yet.
But anyway, they're hoping that the urban forester, yes, so they have applications for the urban forester.
But with $50,000, do people apply to plant trees? Because the cities had a program where you could
Yes.
apply, and that program is still happening then.
Yes, and they have less trees than people are asking for because they didn't get another grant.
So already planned for street trees being planted in 24 is 22 on Henry Street, 8 on Clinton Avenue, 20 with city tree planting, 125 at Deeds, 28 at Post Office Park.
So that's a lot more than 20 trees. That's like,
But 20 is the city tree planting. So that was what that was referencing. The city tree planting is that city fund for tree planting where someone can apply for the.
right, that does not include the Henry Street things or the Clinton Avenue you just talked about.
Right.
So that's, the people can apply, there are 20 trees that the city's giving to someone, or do you buy them or do you give them away?
They're given.
Okay, so 20 are available, okay, got it.
Right.
Article did not say that, so thank you for clarifying. And that's something if we did a little column, we could mention that.
Yeah, there's a whole tree tracker, because we're trying to hit 1,000 trees or plant 1,000 trees by 2030. So Engage Kingston has a tree counter page.
Okay. Again, that's something that a column could talk about a little bit.
Yeah, that would be good. So that, I think, is all. We did, that's all that they talked about. It was a very short meeting. I did ask them if, so there was a law, the Common Council just passed a higher fee for if you cut down a tree without permission. And it was a substantial amount of money. And they think that they don't know if there's been an effect, but they do know that they're getting more requests, and they think that it's because the tree companies know that there's that law. And so they're saying, no, I just can't cut it down. We have to go and get permission to cut the tree down. So they're getting more applications.
Wait, more applications to cut trees down?
Yeah, instead of just people hacking them down.
Got it, because of $250 now.
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right, so that's all. Thank you for staying till 8:30. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor? 8:25.
I'm waiting for somebody to descend on the motion. It's really good. The next one.
Thank you for answering all my questions. I know that